The night Arjun realized his life would never be the same began with silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the heavy silence that follows a storm of emotions, when the heart knows something irreversible has already happened. He stood alone at an airport terminal thousands of miles away from home, watching strangers rush past with familiar faces waiting for them, while he held nothing but a worn backpack and a dream he himself was unsure about. In that moment, an Indian boy from a small town carried a heart full of hope, fear, and a love the world would constantly question. He did not yet know that this love would test every belief he had grown up with, and still become the most powerful truth of his life. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and love that rises above borders, take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone special, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps these stories alive. Arjun grew up in a modest Indian household where values were strict, dreams were practical, and love was something discussed only after responsibilities were fulfilled. His world was defined by routine, expectations, and quiet sacrifices. He was intelligent, disciplined, and respectful, the kind of boy parents pointed to as an example. Yet beneath that calm surface lived a restless soul that wondered what life might look like beyond the narrow streets and predictable future laid out for him. When he earned a scholarship to study in the United States, it felt less like a victory and more like stepping into the unknown with nothing but courage. America overwhelmed him from the start. The scale of everything felt larger, louder, faster. People spoke freely, lived boldly, and questioned things Arjun had always accepted without hesitation. During his first few months, loneliness wrapped around him like a shadow. He missed home-cooked meals, familiar festivals, and the comfort of being understood without explaining himself. It was during this fragile phase of adjustment that fate placed Emily in his life. Emily was everything his world had never prepared him for. She was confident without arrogance, kind without expectation, and curious about the world beyond her own experiences. Raised in a loving but independent American family, she had grown up believing that people should be known by their hearts, not their backgrounds. When she noticed Arjun sitting alone in the university library every evening, buried in books but clearly carrying more weight than academic pressure, something about his quiet presence pulled her toward him. Their connection did not arrive suddenly like lightning. It unfolded slowly, gently, through shared spaces and silent understanding. Long hours spent studying turned into meaningful companionship. Cultural differences that could have divided them instead became bridges. Arjun found comfort in the way Emily listened without judgment, while Emily was drawn to Arjun's depth, sincerity, and unwavering integrity. Somewhere between shared coffees, campus walks, and late-night discussions about life, their hearts found a rhythm that felt natural and safe. But love across cultures rarely exists without resistance. As their bond deepened, so did the challenges. Arjun carried the invisible weight of expectations from home. He knew his family dreamed of a traditional future for him, one rooted in familiarity and social approval. The thought of disappointing them haunted his every quiet moment. Emily, on the other hand, faced subtle skepticism from friends who could not understand why she chose someone so different from herself. Questions about compatibility, religion, family pressure, and long-term reality surfaced repeatedly, planting seeds of doubt around them. The real struggle began when Arjun finally told his family about Emily. What he hoped would be a moment of understanding became an emotional storm. Concerns turned into objections, and objections into painful silence. His parents feared losing their son to a foreign world, a foreign culture, and a future they could not control. For the first time in his life, Arjun felt torn between loyalty and love, tradition and truth. The guilt was suffocating, and there were nights when he wondered if walking away would be easier than fighting everyone he loved. Emily, too, faced her own internal battles. Loving Arjun meant accepting uncertainty. It meant possibly being misunderstood by society, questioned by extended family, and entering a life where compromise would be constant. There were moments when fear crept into her heart, moments when she wondered if love alone was enough. Yet every time she imagined a future without him, it felt emptier than any fear she carried. Distance tested them further when circumstances forced Arjun to return to India temporarily. The physical separation magnified emotional pressure. Time zones stretched conversations thin, misunderstandings surfaced more easily, and the absence felt heavier with each passing day. In India, Arjun stood once again among familiar faces, yet he felt like a stranger. Home no longer felt complete without the person who had become his emotional anchor. Slowly, something began to change. Arjun's quiet persistence softened his family's resistance. They saw the toll the struggle took on him, the honesty in his love, and the respect he still carried for his roots. Emily made an effort to understand Indian culture deeply, not as an obligation, but as a way to honor the man she loved. Through patience, humility, and unwavering commitment, walls that once seemed unbreakable began to crack. What transformed everything was not a dramatic argument or sudden approval, but time. Time allowed fear to turn into understanding, and understanding into acceptance. Arjun's family realized that love did not mean abandonment of values, but an expansion of them. Emily's sincerity and respect won hearts where words had failed. Across oceans and cultures, too. Families slowly learned that love, when genuine, does not erase identity, but enriches it. When Arjun returned to America, the reunion felt less like a celebration and more like a quiet confirmation that they had survived something real. Their love was no longer just a feeling, it was a choice tested by pain, patience, and perseverance. They had grown stronger, more aware, and deeply connected not just to each other, but to the realities of the world they lived in. As time passed, their story became an inspiration to those around them. Friends who once doubted now admired their resilience. Strangers who learned about their journey saw hope in a world often divided by borders and beliefs. Arjun and Emily never claimed their path was easy, but they proved it was possible. They showed that true love is not defined by where you come from, but by how deeply you are willing to understand, respect, and stand by another human being. Before we reach the end, we have a special request for you. Please comment below and tell us where you're watching from, and whether you believe love can truly cross all borders. Your words mean more than you know. In the end, Arjun stood no longer as an Indian boy torn between worlds, but as a man who had learned to balance love and responsibility with courage. Emily stood beside him, not as an outsider, but as someone who had chosen growth over comfort. Together, they built a life rooted in empathy, compromise, and unwavering faith in each other. This was not a fairy tale where problems disappeared. It was a real love story where two people chose each other again and again, despite fear, distance, and doubt. Their journey proved that true love is not about perfect circumstances, but about imperfect people refusing to give up. If this story touched your heart, inspired you, or reminded you that love is still powerful in this world, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your engagement helps us continue sharing stories that connect hearts beyond borders.